Yeah. Yeah. Hey, it looks just like my vision now. I'm literally blinding myself with my phone to film this intro. Anyway, what's up guys? 4:40 in the morning here, and I'm about to go pick up Nick, and we are going to film two idiots take a road trip to Micro Center. Interesting concept for this one. So I'm heading out to Micro Center for the week delayed grand opening for me anyway. They opened last weekend, but I was in New York during that trip, during that opening. But anyway, I've met so many people in the Tustin store that drive all the way in from Phoenix because it's their nearest store, which is about a 5.5 to 6 hour drive depending on traffic. I figured I would honor all of you by driving all the way to Phoenix for this store opening. And of course, it happens to be one of the wettest times of the year, actually. The news said where I live right now and what I'm gonna be driving through is the wettest spot in the nation as of today. So, yeah, but a couple things that we gotta do first. Gotta go pick up Nick, and I got to desperately get some caffeine. See how dark it is? You can't even see the other idiot. I can't even see you.
Oh.
Jeez.
Jeez.
No, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. Oh. A hand just came out of the darkness right now. It's like a horror movie. Yeah, we need to get coffee, but they weren't quite open yet.
Yeah.
Shut up, no one's talking to you. There he is. He's bringing the sustenance. Look how happy he is now. Actually, he's not happy. Nick is not a wake up before 9 a.m. if he doesn't have to kind of guy. The welcome to Audi sound is so pretentious. Here, let me do this again for you guys so you can all hear what I hear. Money. That's literally all I hear.
The little piano bit at the end.
But if you really want people to know you overspent for your Volkswagen, the little chord at the end kills me.
It's too morning for that. Okay, so starting the leg of the flight.
We want to fly, huh?
Oh boy. Look, we're starting to get not dark.
I'm sad because Chuckwalla Raceway is right over there, like literally right there. We were like, should we stop there on the way home?
Yeah. All right, we are about 2 hours, 19 minutes away.
156 miles to go. We decided to pull off for bathroom stop, throw away some trash, and maybe get a snack. This place has a very
head south on South
the hills have eyes feel about it. Basically, we're in Trevorland.
Oh, yeah.
That's Victorville, but this is just a bigger Victorville.
Albert Tacos? Albert Tacos? Like, can I put like Albert Tacos? This is
Albert Tacos.
Albert Tacos is making one word.
We're 160 miles or whatever from Phoenix. We're actually making really good time. It's only 7:30 or 7:25 in the morning. So it feels like 2 in the afternoon, but I know, look, there's plenty of you that are truck drivers and long haul drivers that are like, bro, you're going 330 miles. That's like first leg of your drives. I live in an area where I travel maybe at most 4 miles a day. I make more steps to the fridge than I do to the car. I want to point out the time change because Arizona doesn't do daylight savings, so California just went back an hour like a week ago. So as soon as we crossed into Arizona, it went forward an hour. So that's why we didn't waste an hour doing anything and just jump forward. But we're under an hour now to Phoenix, under 60 miles to go. Update on the gaming side. Even though we were getting a minimum of like 6 to 7 megabit on the wireless in the middle of nowhere, or on my phone here in the car in the middle of like the major city as we were going through like Blythe and stuff, was like 130 megabit down, which is kind of crazy. Battlefield 6 wouldn't connect. It kept saying connection, what did it say? Like
it was too slow to connect. Like it couldn't.
It didn't connect fast enough. Yeah. So something weird with Battlefield where it's looking for something in the connection that it wasn't liking. Even though our ping was like 50, it's not good, but it's also not like terrible.
Best, yeah.
It's not enough to say, oh, you can't play the game. But he was able to play No Man's Sky and stuff.
Yeah. So. I mean, it's charging right now, but I played for like a good 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's charging slowly though, because it's connected to the phone charger.
I don't have the high-powered battery bank yet.
Yeah, and it's only a 5-volt output, so he was losing battery as he was playing. But was it going full speed? Like, was it still boosting up? Oh,
yeah, it was still boosting. It was again.
It was boosting. And I was boo-booing.
Oh no.
Like that old rap song and boo-booing. Anyway, so this will probably be the last vlog update from driving until we're at Micro Center. Like I said, we're gonna arrive at 11. Our time to like actually that we're gonna be talking with you guys and doing the live build is at 2, but we'll probably get to the store at 1 because I still have to do some shopping for the build. And what I'm gonna do with this one is gonna be kind of interesting. I initially wanted to build like a PC that was like Arc Raiders ready, which isn't really that hard, to be honest. People have been saying Arc Raiders is easy to run. It hasn't been crazy on the hardware requirements and such. But with all the talk of like the Steam machine and all the Steam drops, like the announcements that just happened this week, I think I'm gonna try and build the smallest comparable PC, or maybe slightly better, than what the specs are for the new Steam machine or whatever they're going to call it. Because I don't think they're going to call it Steam machine. I think they might have a name for it. Steam machine's kind of like the project name. But I want to see what we can build, and then we're going to hang on to that system. So when the Steam machine finally launches, we'll kind of compare it. I mean, it's not exactly apples to apples. I mean, we're talking about a built from the ground up machine that has a very custom layout, very custom PCB, all sandwiched together. Only upgradable RAM and only upgradable storage for it. But you can't upgrade the graphics. You can't update the CPU. It's not socketed. It's all soldered. So it'll be interesting to see how it compares. Now, they're not going to be apples to apples again because you can't. I say can't, but let's just say there's a way to do things if you try hard enough. But you can't just go get Steam OS, which is based on Linux, and just throw it on any machine and be like, look, I got a Steam machine. So technically we could do Steam Big Picture and have it boot into Steam's Big Picture as like a layer on top of Windows to look like it's its own OS, but it's not going to be the same. Like for instance, just like a console, if you have it plugged into a receiver, there's a return communication through HDMI, where if you were to turn on like your stereo receiver, it'll turn on the Steam machine. It does that with my PlayStation as well. Like it turn on the receiver, because that's the last input was the PlayStation 4. It just will turn on the PlayStation, which is cool and all, but you can't really do that with the PC. Not easily anyway. It would take a lot of custom coding and such to make that happen. So there are caveats. Like it's not going to be a direct one-to-one, but it's interesting because the Steam machine is going to be a really neat transition for a lot of console gamers to have access to Steam library, but still have that console play from your couch kind of feel. I want to see what we can build today. So I'm pivoting to doing that. And that's what we'll be doing for part selection and such. So because we're going to be sticking to a very, very tiny case, means I have to stick to realistic power requirements. Because let's face it, the CPU in the Steam machine is only 30 watts. It's a 6-core, 12-thread Zen 4 architecture CPU, which means it's 7000 series, because we're on Zen 5 now, which is 9000 series. But it's 6-core, 12-thread boosting 4.8 at 30 watts, which is kind of crazy. And then the GPU, I think it says 140 watts, somewhere around there, I believe. I can't remember the exact specs. Phil can put it on the screen right here. Which they said is going to be equivalent to like a 7600 XT or 7700 XT, somewhere around there. So I don't think it'll be hard to get those parts to fit in a very tiny case and not be worrying about like cooling. But that's what I'm going to do today. I've never tried to build something as small as we're about to, so I'm looking forward to it.
You're in what, the Linux builds?
No, those are way bigger than we're going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like I won't say what case I have in mind yet. We'll do it when we're doing the part shopping, but it's even way smaller than like the Thor case and all that we used and looked at. It's much, much smaller. Remember, the Steam Cube is like
literally a cube.
It's like Tesseract size. It's really tiny. So then I can't build anything possibly that small. Remember, it's got its own custom power supply built in too. So, but it's funny seeing the discussions taking place and the arguments between like whether or not the Steam machine is worth it or if it's just a computer. So I don't know, we'll see. All right, so normally I would start with platform. And by platform, I mean like, are we going AMD? Are we going Intel? Are we going ATX, EATX, ITX? Obviously we're doing ITX since we're doing a Steam machine style build. The smallest case that is currently out right now, especially here at Micro Center, is going to be the Fractal Terra. It's a very tiny case. I can't even remember the total volume. The crazy part is it's probably still double the volume of the actual size of the Steam machine, but these are limitations we have to work within.
we have to go with obviously an SFX power supply, but we don't have to go with anything crazy high on the power requirements, because I think I'm gonna go, we're using a B650i motherboard, so it should have the updated BIOS to be able to run 9000 series. I don't think we need to spend the money on that. I think something like a 7700X would be a perfect CPU. It's gonna match core for thread count on the Steam machine, 6 cores, 12 threads. Boost clock is going to be about the same, 4.8, so it's going to essentially be like the same CPU, if you will. But we'll have the full 105 watts available to us, whereas a Steam machine only has 30 watts available to the CPU. But because of that, we're not going to need a crazy high-end power supply. For the graphics card, we'll figure that one out as we go right now. Hopefully all the parts that I pick are going to be compatible. They should be. I've never built Natera, but I have seen it plenty. A Dan case would have worked really well too, but I think the Fractal Terra is going to work. Unfortunately, it's a $200 case because of the form factor and the wood and all that. So I think it's going to be difficult to keep it price parity with the Steam machine, but that's a big question mark right now. No one knows what it's going to cost, especially with storage and RAM pricing being what it is today. So Fractal Terra is where we're starting. Normally I do the case last. This time we're doing it first. So we'll get our motherboard, CPU, and GPU figured out. All right, so we're going with an open box board. This is an X870i Aorus. It's even higher tier than I wanted. Unfortunately, there are some better price options at like $149 for like the Aorus or Gigabyte Aorus board there, the B650, which would have been fine. This is 227 open box. Unfortunately, right now, some of the ITX stuff's kind of popular, but also it's not as popular in terms of how much gets stocked. So we're kind of shoehorned into this one. I don't think X870 is that important, honestly, for this build. But at $227, it's the best and kind of our only option, if you will. They did have some ASRock boards online that it showed was in stock. Maybe we'll double check for that. That was a much better price option. Not only that, this is a whiteboard for the Aorus. So our Terra is graphite, which is kind of like their black color, but this is white. You won't really see it in this case, but the OCD side of me will know it's there. So let me just double check whether or not they have the ASRock board. If not, then we'll stick with this. But see, there's this one, to give you an example of why this is a better option in my opinion. It's X870i Aorus. Originally, the price is $284.99. It's open box for $227. It's complete, no missing parts. That's the MSI B850 Edge, which is $289. So we get the full chipset of X870, although there's not like a bunch of different M.2 slots on that versus like a full ATX board. So I feel like it's an ITX form factor. You're kind of paying for features you're not really even getting anyway, which is why I wanted to find a lesser expensive B650 or B850. But this is the balancing act, if you will. Okay, so we're gonna go with the 7700X. It's $239 right now on sale. I think the regular price is like $289 or $249, I can't remember. 9700X is $289 currently, I believe. I don't think it's worth the extra $50 for what we're doing. So like recent CPU testing that we did showed that right around 6 core, 12 thread, anything above that, we weren't scaling more FPS. So even though it's a previous gen architecture, I think it'll be perfectly fine. In fact, it's the same architecture they're using for the Steam machine. They're using Zen 4, not Zen 5. So that actually is probably the exact part they're using. Okay, so we've got our CPU, we've got our motherboard. Our CPU technically has 105 watt mode. We don't necessarily even need to probably use the whole 105 watts. In gaming, it won't. So our cooler is gonna have to be very small to fit in this case. So let's go choose a cooler now. Okay, so we've used this cooler in a few different builds. In fact, our Wall of Heaven that is running on Linux, that has the 6 screens running Heaven on loop, this is the cooler we're actually using to cool that 90, I think it was a 9900K, Phil's old 9900K. It's a little undersized for that, but it's perfectly fine for this CPU. They do have the Noctua low profile in open box, but it only has the Intel bracket because Noctua likes to sometimes sell, instead of all the bracketry, they're like, here's an Intel version, here's an AMD version. So fortunately they don't have the Noctua one, but this is a attractive looking cooler too. So we'll stick with that. That's perfect cooling for our CPU. Now we'll pick GPU before we go to the part, and then power supply. We'll save RAM and storage for last because you know the pricing right now on that's kind of very volatile, obviously, with all of the AI server farms and stuff that are being built out. So that's going to be the part that really is the wild card here, not knowing the kind of prices we're going to see on that. I think that's also a wild card for the Steam machine. So any increase in pricing for consumers is also going to be increase in pricing for wholesale builders when they're doing these data center build outs. All right, let's go see what we got. Okay, so graphics card, it says semi-custom 8 gigabyte RDNA 3. Now RDNA 3 is going to be like your 7700 XT, your 7600 XT, 8 gigabyte card. Now there are 16 gigabyte cards as well. Like this is one right here, that's a 7600 16 gigabyte. Oh yeah, there's one right there. No, that's a 9600, like, or 9060. This is 7600. So for $299 right now on sale, they have a 9060 XT 8 gigabyte card. Now we talked about 8 gigabytes, how that's not very future proof when it comes to VRAM, but if we're trying to keep it parity with the Steam machine, this is a heck of a deal. Now it says semi-custom, I'm not sure what that means. I'm assuming that might be the fact that they're probably taking the whole die assembly and it's custom mounted to the same motherboard as the CPU, which is also not socketed, they're soldered on. That's probably what they mean by semi-custom. But for $299, an 8 gigabyte card keeps us in hardware spec RAM-wise, because they're both GDDR6, but we're a whole generation newer with RDNA 4 on this card. So the RDNA 3 stuff is more expensive than RDNA 4 because it has 16 gigs. I think I'd rather, for the purposes of this build, because I think 1080p to 1440p gaming max is the most we would do, maybe medium to high settings. I think I'm gonna go with the $299 card. I think that makes the most sense. But this is where I feel like building a PC like this is a little more superior to buying something that's fully soldered and put together, because there's no upgrade path for that. But this you can upgrade. So that's one of the positives for an actual bespoke build like this versus buying something that's already all kind of hamburgered together as one unit you can't change. Okay, do as I say, not as I do. This is a terrible power supply for this build. It's a 1000 watt SFXL or SFXL power supply because that's all they've got. Or we can do the Silverstone 1200 for $415, which is completely ridiculous. We only need like a 550, 600 watt power supply at the most ever to even be future proof. So here's what we're gonna do. This is going to be a placeholder power supply so we can get through the build today, because I don't want to change the chassis. Any chassis change I make is only going to scale it up to even bigger, which I don't really want to do. The point of this for me was to make it as tiny as we could, because that's the allure of the Steam machine, is its power to size ratio. So this is a $215 or $220 power supply, something like that. It's not cheap. It is a terrible value for this build. It should never be almost as much as your graphics card. It should never be almost the same price as your CPU. So when we do the official comparison between the Steam machine when it comes out and we get our hands on one, is we'll swap this out to a power supply that makes more sense for the power needs of this build. I was almost tempted to just like get this thing, and it's basically a server power supply, but it's a TFX is the form factor, but try and adapt this into it somehow. Like, I was legit considering doing that, but it's only got one PCI Express. I think that's all the graphics card even needs. But then I'd be hodgepodging, and that's only 300 watts, which is not enough for a 9060 XT. So again, we're shoehorned into using this one because unfortunately this is all that's in stock right now. Grand opening woes, you get here after the rush, then that's what happens. Last week we might have had a better opportunity, but it is what it is. Now we need to look at RAM and storage. That's where we're really gonna feel some pain. Okay, so this is the first time I've actually really shopped all the prices of DDR5. I've heard all the news, I hadn't really looked at it yet. It's scary with DDR5. DDR4, if you have DDR4 systems, you're fine. Like, RAM prices are fairly unaffected because they're not building out data centers with DDR4. I was trying to stick to 16 gigabytes because that's what the Steam machine has. The only 16 gigabyte kit that I could really even find a tag for was this Corsair Vengeance LPX, but it was $151 for two 8 gig sticks at, oh, that's DDR4, never mind, I just realized that. So forget that. We actually found what I think is gonna be the only reasonable deal, and I say deal very loosely. It's marked $319, it's not the price, it's $169. It's DDR5, 32 gig kit, so it's double the capacity of what's in the Steam machine. It is only 5600 mega transfers, CL46. So it is not the fastest gaming RAM, but it is the cheapest DDR5 that they have here right now. They don't know. They don't say what the timing specs are, the mega transfers are for the Steam Machine. But we have double the RAM, and if there's one thing I've learned about these kits is more often than not, we can actually play with those timings quite a bit and bring them tighter if we want. I think for the purposes of which we're building this, I don't think those timings are going to be make or break. But if we were like, if we really cared and we wanted more timing, we could go with like the newer version of Crucial Pro right here, 6,000 mega transfer CL36 for that one. That's also CL36. These kits are like 300 and something, 400 or almost $400. G-Skill, which we're used to doing, these are DDR4, it's DDR5 right there, $199 for a 32 gig kit. So I'm not sure it's worth spending 30 extra bucks to go from 5,600 to 6,000, because we've done extensive testing with memory timing. Unless you're running like a 5090 at like low resolution, low settings, pushing as many frames as possible, you don't tend to see the timing matter as much as you would think. So this is what we're stuck with. Okay, so storage is affected like RAM, not as badly right now, but it is that prices have been creeping up. I'm keeping it simple. I'm going with a 1 terabyte drive. There's 2 SKUs available for Steam Machine. There's a 512 gigabyte version or a 2 terabyte version. I'm kind of surprised they even have a 512. It should be 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte or maybe even a 4 terabyte. You know how big Steam libraries can get. I'm just sticking with Inland. It's a QN450 drive. It's a Gen 4. It's up to 5,000 megabytes per read speed. Up to 3,500 megabytes per second write speed. It's not the fastest drive. It doesn't have the quickest controller. If you really get down to the nitty gritty of the type of NAND and all that, you can absolutely argue maybe this brand or that brand or whatever. For this one, we're just going with price. It's 75 bucks. And we've been using Inland drives in a few of our builds now, and in a blind taste test, no one can really tell the difference. And because of the fact that it's a Micro Center in-house brand, if you have a problem with the drive, you just bring it back to your local Micro Center store. Where if you have a problem with any of these other brands, then you got to go through RMA process and sending it off and doing all of that. We have all of our parts. I have no idea what it adds up to. I'm a little afraid to see the power supply alone. That's a big, big asterisk. I'm going to basically look up the price of what I think the SFX power supply we should have gotten is, and we're going to base our price off of that. Power is the power. We don't need the RGB. We don't need any of the Thor stuff that you get with Asus. We just need clean power. Okay, so a quick change of plans after all that rationale. We're gonna switch out the QN450. For $10 more, we're gonna get that went right here. For $10 more, we're gonna get the 1 terabyte Inland Plus, but this gives us speeds up to 7,100 and 6,300. So $10. A little bit better controller, a little bit stronger 3 NAND in there. Same reasons though. Okay, so here's the build right here, built in front of all these lovely people, so no pressure, of course. I haven't told you guys the final price yet, so I've already told them, and everyone went, yeah, when I said it. The moment you go small form factor, the cost goes up, right? Not GPU aside, but the motherboard, and it's way more expensive than what I wanted to spend. The motherboard that was $149 that I wanted was out of stock. The RAM, self-explanatory. The graphics card, we got a good deal on the graphics card, they got $299, but the motherboard was almost $300. The power supply was over $220, like $229, somewhere around there, which is way more than I wanted. It's almost double the wattage of what I need. But as is, this came out to just under $1,700 with a 9060 XT, so let that sink in. This is why I think the Steam Machine is gonna be a really difficult thing to compete with PC build-wise. But I don't think it's meant to. I don't think it's meant to replace a PC. Do you guys think it's meant to replace a PC? No, it's meant to like...
Happy medium.
Yeah, it's something in between a console and a PC. Because consoles don't have access to Steam library. But we all know the Steam library is massive and has amazing games, PC exclusives and stuff too. So it's a good middle ground. But seeing the PC enthusiast community really kind of like debate its value, I wondered if we could even come close. I think we can knock about $250 off this build, which still brings it to $1,350, which is a lot. I think any $1,350 build that includes a 9060 XT is definitely done incorrectly. But it's a $200 case, it's almost $200 RAM. I mean, that's $400 right there with just case and RAM. So anyway, we will be doing some benchmarks and stuff on this, kind of give you guys a quick peek on it. Thank you. What was your name?
Tim.
Tim, thank you so much for reminding me and showing me that the doors come off. I was trying to build with the doors up. Was not ideal. But anyway, the build I think turned out very clean though. Usually form factor builds are really difficult to build in. So you can see the CPU power supply side. This is zip tied down to the bracket right there, but it can still swing out of the way and give me access to all the front panel stuff. Everything is connected. GPU side, very simple. But you can see you don't have a lot of room for a big GPU in this. So I was worried that that 7600 XT 16 gigabyte card that they had, I think it would have been too long because it was the gigabyte triple Aero card. I can't remember what they call it. I think it would have been too long for this, to be honest. But this is a nice, tidy, clean uniframe build. I like it. It's a bit of a fingerprint magnet though, because it's a matte finish. But there we go. All right, we're gonna go ahead and button this up, clean up our mess, kind of do a meet and greet, and then this video will end when we're back to California, because anything can still happen along the way, right?
All right, so 304 miles to go to get to Nick's house. And yeah, so thanks for hanging out for this video. It's the next morning, it's 8 a.m. If nothing happens along the way, this is where the video should end. If anything should happen along the way, there'll be more. Okay, bye.